and has a shot at the winner-take-all prize, $500 American. We gotta get through this series first. Katarina Skarner, Fizz, and Lee Sin gonna be the first few bans out there. We saw the Fizz bans coming from SK. We're seeing the Fizz bans coming from MYM. Against Eclypsia, you have to. Fizz too strong.
He is extremely strong, but tons of damage shows that he has a lot of flexibility in that top lane, able to do extremely well earlier on. But the Lee Sin ban, that's almost a must now against I'm So Fresh. Just ridiculous play from Tails of the lane, and then even the first game of this morning. SK didn't ban him out initially. They kind of paid the price for it.
Yeah.
Once they did ban him out, they were much closer to the second game. They had the lead for a good portion of it, but Eclypsia was able to come back. They had the Jin Zhao. I can't even pronounce that properly. I apologize, guys. But having that jungler guy there, he was doing pretty good in the early game, but he got really far behind in levels. He was able to be assassinated by SK. Hopefully in this game for Eclypsia, they're going to be able to get him a little bit tankier as they get into that mid to late game, so he doesn't just insta-die for all these fights, and it's just like a little bit of cannon fodder for the other team. But
well, if Zin falls behind, that is always the threat. And we saw I think it's a game when we saw him game 2 versus SK, he was 2 levels behind, nearly at all times behind Shyvana. And that's the thing, he has to get into those fights. He's looking to zoom straight on into the back line, and a squishy champ is not going to be surviving that long. And where he excels is the transition from the mid to the late game as he starts stacking up all those items. His attack speed is sound. He can just trigger that battle cry, get over 2.0 very quickly. It's just a matter of how long can he stay in the fight, how much damage can he do.
And that's a lesson that they learned from the last game. Moving into this game, however, there is that Ezreal Sona pick, which was indisputably the strongest bottom lane a few patches ago. But we're currently on the live patch here. This isn't tournament server, so it's not quite as beefy as before. Sona can't completely trade as nicely. That's why I really like this duo bottom lane pick for Eclypsia. The Jace and Zyra combination, if Jace ends up going in the bottom lane, which
we saw.
There's a lot of flexibility. That's what we saw in the last game, so we're just kind of assuming they're going to keep that rhythm going.
Yeah.
They're going to have a lot of tankiness to be able to jump up, get in Sona's face, lock her down, and assassinate her really early. Renekton, if tons of damage gets him again, that guy was unkillable. Actually, did he die at all?
Maybe once or twice.
Once or twice, but for the number of kills that he was able to get, the amount of damage he was able to absorb for his team, I'm really looking forward to seeing that again. On the other side, Udyr in the jungle. How do you think that's going to go up against Jin Zhao?
Udyr's been doing. He's coming back. He's a great frontline take. He's a great control jungler. It's just he's out there to be the tank. He's out there to soak up all the damage. But the only problem going up against Eclypsia's team, though, is that there are a lot of abilities to just bypass him completely and go straight to the back line. Zin can dash. You also have the Zyra ult for control, and Diana, once he hits 6, Q to the back line, just ignore the bear man completely. So the early, it's just a matter of how well can MYM keep control of their own jungle. Because if they can, Udyr can get aggressive. He can go in for a few invades, try and steal the buff control away from Eclypsia, but it may prove difficult. Yeah,
it could be difficult. Kuban's going to have Aurelia in that top lane to go up against a Renekton. We saw that tons of damage mastered that matchup perfectly against Kevin on SK, but different players, sometimes they have different styles, especially with a different jungler in there, like you're talking about. The Udyr might be able to have a bit more of an impact on that early game laning matchup.
Right.
And if tons of damage doesn't get as much of a lead earlier on, that could really affect how they went into the team fights, since tons of damage was the real main meat force behind it. He was the one that was kind of initiating the fights, absorbing all the damage, and not letting SK do anything. And maybe that's going to be changed up a little bit in this MYM matchup.
Yeah. I will say, though, that as you start hitting into the mid-game, into the late game, there is quite a bit of consistent damage coming from MYM. You're going to have Udyr with the Phoenix stance all over the place. You have Ezreal, who's a relatively safe AD on the back line, and also Orianna, once built correctly to the Athenes and other cooldown items, is going to be kiting all day. Eclypsia, once they get in there, there's going to blow all of the cooldowns, and it's just dancing around in circles waiting for everything to come back up. But the burst is quite massive, especially when you have that Diana.
That is true, but the burst is only going to come into effect in certain situations.
Yes.
With Heidal and Kuja in the bottom lane, they've got the same exact summoner spells. Yeah, now that the timers tick down, they've locked those in as the MYM bottom lane. We're seeing from Europe that there's a pretty big tendency to go for this heal ignite combination. What do you think is the driving force in changing the meta over to kind of that? I guess it's been happening for a few months now, but before it used to be the ignite exhaust.
Well, the thing with exhaust is that a lot of we were talking about the holy trinity of ADs actually during the first set of the day, and why they were the holy trinity is the fact that they have great escapes, and exhaust isn't quite as useful when they're about, like, you know, which by the way, when we measure distance, we measure it in Teemos, so. Yeah, an exhaust on Ezreal doesn't quite do as much when he shifts and he's suddenly 5 Teemos away from you. So that slow doesn't really, you know, help you out too much. The ignite, however, will still carry on over and will continue on with him. So if you need that last bit of damage, that should be able to take it with him.
And I guess we saw this in the earlier match today, whereas with the heal, you can kind of bait out the enemy champions where they think they're going to be able to go in for a kill. They dive you under turret, you pop your heal, they're going to die along with you at the worst case for you. Right.
And also, with that, it's also kind of strange because I think like a lot of AD champs were starting to take heal just on their own anyway. And of course, the ignite there, it does reduce how much you do end up healing overall. So there's a little bit of a counter synergy, I guess. But then it's just whoever manages to strike first, whoever pops that heal first, is usually in the advantage. But we'll see how things carry out. We can see the Jace get quite aggressive, and we're also going to take a look at some of the runes and masteries coming on in here. Always got to check. You may never know when you're going to see something crazy like
like a 21-9 or 29-1 Master Yi. That was a treat to watch. If you guys didn't get to see that, head over to twitch.tv/IPLLoL. And you're going to be able to see the VODs of all those games that happened this morning if you missed them.
The moment we are done in here, I am zooming off to my cubicle, and we're going to be getting those up. I'm going to be getting those up onto YouTube very soon, so be sure to stay tuned for those.
Zooming off 5 Teemos away, or roughly how far do you think it is?
We actually did like a top 5 flops episode where we actually had Teemo in the office, and then he shot me in the neck, but that's a different story completely. But I don't know, it's about like. It's about 50 Teemos, I think.
50 Teemos away?
50
oh, man.
Teemos away.
So exhaust would definitely help in this situation.
Yeah.
If I want to keep you from doing your work, I just got to exhaust you.
Yeah.
So that's what this cast is going to be. This is going to be 3 50-minute games going on here. That's my way of exhausting a caster.
There you go. Well, it's been a pretty damn big day so far, and just everyone coming out enjoying some matches for the Royale, and we know it's getting late over in the EU. But for good LoL, though, I would. Well, then again, I've stayed up till 5, 6 in the morning.
Yeah, but we're the exception. We live and breathe gaming. Time does not matter. We're global in every single sense of the word. So,
yeah.
But for all you guys in Europe that are still sticking with us, thank you very much. We appreciate it. If there's anything that we can do to improve the experience for you guys, definitely let us know. I guess in all sorts of social networking ways.
Yes.
All you guys in North America that are on your lunch break or just getting home from school, we appreciate you guys as well. We're going to have a lot of North American content tomorrow.
Yes.
For you guys to watch as well.
Or if you're here in NA and you were just waking up just now in the afternoon. Which
I'm not going to speak to those guys.
Hey, we've lived it. We've lived it for a while.
Of course, yeah.
Those are good days.
And for anyone in Korea, annyeonghaseyo.
Loading on in game number 1, Eclypsia and MYM should be underway in just a second. And this is nearly the exact same team we saw from Eclypsia game number 2 against SK. It's just a swap out. No Master Yi in the mid. It will be Diana instead, which it was... The Yi was interesting. The Yi was very interesting. Front-loaded a ton of damage in front of every single fight. Kind of went down pretty fast, though. But I have to say, Diana, she's bringing something a little bit different. There's a lot more single-target burst coming from Diana, so things may be a little bit easier this time around for EC. But we will see everyone now in here. And again, Zyra going for those mana pots. Going to be throwing off those vines quite a bit there in the bot lane.
So don't call Diana a heretic, because then you will be dead. Here we are in the game number 1 of the winners bracket final. This is Eclypsia versus MYM. MYM beating Fnatic in the first round 2-1. Eclypsia going 2-0 against SK Gaming. We'll have the losers bracket final, or losers bracket round 1, excuse me, on Friday, hopefully followed by the final. But we shall see with that. Keep posted on there. Blue team is going to be Eclypsia. They're going up against the red MYM. Going to have to see how this goes down as everyone's fanning out in the jungle, making sure that no path is untouched or uncovered.
Yep. Right, yeah, MYM taking the point defense. Nearly every single entrance to their jungle. There's some sort of vision on there. You also got Orianna with the orb right there in the brush. But just barely not in vision of Heidal. And there is a very limited sight range on that orb. It just, you know, and it's so unfortunate that it just doesn't see that far.
You know, that orb definitely reminds me of the torture device in Star Wars, the little thing that glows in and it's about to interrogate Princess Leia. So I would not want to be interrogated by Orianna. That's all. That's all I'm gonna have to say there.
But Riot, skin idea. Are you listening?
Princess Leia, Orianna with the torture device ball. Protect is disabled.
We already got Master Yi with the lightsaber. We might as well just go to full 9. You know? We might as well.
Yeah. So speaking up about the Master Yi, Eclypsia had a plan where they were going to use him as the split push.
Wow. Heidal,
wow.
Heidal's got to be paying attention here, otherwise you're going to get more free shots down onto you. You're taking enough damage from the golems as is. MYM here just looking to finish the job, or at the very least harass them down, try and get the golem reset. But ouch, MYM, they have a huge advantage down in the bot lane. Granted, he got some experience there on it to the carry of Eclypsia, but he is significantly weaker going into that lane. He's going to be very easy to push back, and that's a little odd. Magi's saving the smite, full backs to heal. He's just going to go straight to the blue and possibly make an attempt down the bot lane. But that's not something you commonly see, is to have a jungler immediately back after taking that first buff. Up here in top lane, Aurelia with tons of damage. Not a whole lot going on just quite yet, but there's a small creep lead there. And since the Udyr did have to go back, Xin has had a little time to himself in the jungle. Going to be making his way. Is he going to be going top or mid? Not quite sure yet, but he does have that red buff. Passes over the blue. There is ward coverage down there too, just in case they do get invaded. But right now, Magi's swooping on over. He's taking his wolves. Already has his blue. He's got his double buff. Now making his way up towards top lane.
Yeah, that bear is going to be pretty scary once he decides which lane to go to. I like this choice by MYM to hold off on grabbing the buff, the second buff, until he absolutely needs it. A lot of aggression in this bottom lane. We haven't seen them get the breathing room to head back. All their potions have been used so far, but there's still a little bit of vision here for Cesaro. Cesaro, I don't know how to pronounce that. I apologize. But he's going to be coming in here. The ball goes into aggression. There's going to be a slowdown. Kuja is going to be the first blood, going in favor of MYM. They're taking the aggression that Eclypsia had. They're reversing it on them, going with a little bit of a mini invasion in the beginning that's paying off dividends at the moment. They force Jace out of lane. This is going to give them a lot of breathing room. Udyr was even able to rotate into the mid lane since he had double buff, able to hold that away from Tabs being able to push too incredibly strongly in the beginning. Yeah,
and it's this is very early for any mid laner to start roaming, trying to assist in those ganks. And granted, yeah, the ward in the tri-brush, it was the right call for Eclypsia, but they hesitated for a second. It's like, oh hey, there's Orianna. Should we back for a second? Maybe, maybe not. It was a little bit too late. The auto attacks from Orianna helped with the addition of the ignite coming in from Libic was more than enough to grab that kill. So a little bit not as quick on the draw as you normally like to be, but at the very least now Eclypsia knows that Orianna is going to be possibly roaming more. You already got something like that, you know. And if Orianna gets a return on those on leaving lane, you know she's going to do it again.
And here comes Medjaz in the mid lane. He's going to be going up against Tabs. If they can get a double kill here, or a second kill in the mid lane, that will give them a huge early lead. But no going to get pushed out as I'm So Fresh comes in here. He's very close. He forces the flash out from Zaru. He's going to have to back off, but not to the point where he gets killed. That's very good for him. They're going to be able to push back the lane a little bit, get some damage on the turret, but not enough that that's any sort of serious loss. 5 minutes into this game, about a little less than 1,000 gold in favor of MYM. Tons of damage, doing this very typical just fight for a little bit, absorb some damage, back off, and eat it back up, because he's an alligator. You can't really hurt him too hard.
Yeah, and those combos that come in from tons of damage. Oh, Renekton, he dashes in, gets his stun, gets his free damage, dash out. There's not a whole lot, there's not many characters can do to just respond to that. At the very least, you know, Kuban can get some dashes in, can regen, can sustain a little bit off of it. But remember, it's a mana jungler, it's a mana top lane versus a mana-less top lane, and eventually Kuban will be forced to back. What is he picking up for himself? He got himself the Ninja Tabby and the Door and Shield. Good choice to resist a little bit easier. Magi finds a Xin in his midst, forces him forces him back out. Just punch him a few times in the face. If that's not going to convince you to leave, I don't know what will.
Yeah, I'm so fresh, kind of taking a page out of the Udyr Jungle Book and trying to invade as much as possible. Gets chased out a little bit, but he's putting the pressure on, forcing Orianna to come out of lane a little bit. It's giving Eclypsia a foothold back in this game, where they were down by 800 gold before. Now they're only down by 400. So even just in this laning phase, with the extra support of that jungler, they're able to get just a little bit of advantage here and there. With now Medjais is going into the enemy jungle. Nice. The big Wraith is already down, so doesn't need to do anything in that creep camp. He can continue to move on. He knows exactly what the path of Jin Zhao has been, and he's going to be able to respond with that by going for a potentially in between the lane gank. No, he's actually just going to time this perfectly as the Eclypsia duo lane is going to head back to spawn.
Look at this, though. Such deep warding this early on into the game. And if right now, that should already speak to how well MYM's position in this game already is. The fact that you've cleared enough time where you can actually go that deep into the enemy jungle before the 10-minute mark and get both of those wards down. That is one of the best investments of 150 gold I have ever seen. Because right now, Xin cannot go through his south jungle without MYM knowing about it at all. But if he comes in through the lane, that could be a little bit more disastrous. There is the charge down on the Living Flesh. In response, getting him popped up on the third strike. Will Libic be able to get out of there? There's a Summoner heal to keep him topped off, but will be enough? No, the Cannon helping on out. The Ignite on I'm So Fresh, though, is going to help out in the kill. Unfortunately, the kill does go to the Sona.
Not unfortunately. That's going to give Libic a heart of gold. He's going to be coming back to lane.
He's going to be coming
just
back to
a little bit more beefy. Yeah. So he's compensating for the nerf, relatively recent nerf on Sona, where she's a lot squishier, grabbing it a little bit of extra health. But in this top lane, tons of damage, like we were talking about before. If he gets shut down early, he's not going to be as beefy as before. He just barely gets out, but that's going to force him out of lane, giving Aurelia a bit of breathing room. So we already see the MYMs taking control of their lanes. In the bottom lane, that one little bit of roaming from Orianna has made a huge impact on how this lane is going down. Ezreal already 12 CS above, 2 assists compared to the 1 kill for Jace. But then if you look at Sona, she's way ahead of Zyra. Zyra is being forced to grab a lot of potions, both mana and health, and only has a Fairy Charm as far as a permanent item is concerned. Meanwhile, no boots whatsoever, so no ability to escape or to initiate.
That is
that gives a lot of flexibility to the bottom lane for MYM.
So basically, without the boots, you're not going to be as mobile, and Kuja's going to have to spend a little bit more time on the backline. We may actually see Eclypsia allow MYM to push from the tower just to have a little bit easier time farming. And remember, we discussed this during our first series too. Jace, he does not have the auto attack range as most other standard ADs while in cannon form. And if he does want to farm from a range, he's going to be using that Q. He's going to be using a lot of mana in order to do so. But Kuja, hey, I may not have boots, but that doesn't mean I still can't be aggressive. Libic caught out in the brush, taking a few free hits. But remember, though, this is also a heal lane versus a non-healing lane, so MYM has that running for them, too.
Yeah, the MYM bottom lane is just doing very good off that beginning invasion where they're just getting a little bit of an advantage, followed up with Orianna, like we keep saying, and that's what you're looking for in a pro team. When are they going to... They're going to try a bunch of things to get an advantage. It's only going to be slight, but then how do they respond once they get it? Do they turn it into something even bigger, or do they kind of focus on a different area to bring up the slight advantages here and there? In the top lane, they've been pretty much on an island at the moment. It's allowing MYM to take their 4 players. They saw they had a little bit of a positional lead here, and they're going to go for this early dragon. If they can grab this before the 10-minute mark, which they do, that's going to give them a 1,500 gold lead 10 minutes into this game. Really good start for MYM.
Yep, 15:45 is when that dragon is going to pop back up. And you'll also notice, too, MYM went straight in towards that dragon as soon as the 2 wards that Udyr placed earlier. As soon as those wards expired, you saw MYM make a beeline straight to it. It was like, okay, we lost our vision, but from the last sight we had, we knew no one was coming to that jungle. Even if they come into the jungle from now on, they're not going to be able to clear enough time to actually make it to the dragon contestant. That was great A great timing attack from MYM.
And now we have a dive here onto Kuja. The Sona Crescendo was able to lock him down. It's going to be turned around, though, so support for support at the moment. Magi's and Mockler still here, able to try to make something happen as Orianna comes down. If they can catch Heidel here, this will be a very good situation. The ultimate comes out to lock him up. Great trading of turret damage. That's going to get him another kill here in the bottom lane, 4-2. However, this is all at a cost of the top turret. They dropped the first turret. The Kuban is getting dove on as well. Diana's going to pick up that kill. That's going to help her snowball in the mid lane, and they're going to be able to take down the second tier turret as well. 1 turret to 1 at the moment. It's going to be turned to 1 to 2, or at least some significant damage on this, since Sona's not exactly the biggest deterrent here if she's on her own.
Well, she is essentially a level 1 minion, so it's just like every other minion versus the world where we try to take down that turret. But tier 1 for tier 1, that's usually not too bad, but that's a very weak top lane now for EC. But if MYM can stall just for a little longer, the lane in top is naturally going to push back further into MYM's base, which will give Aurelia a lot of time to free farm. And in terms of just pure creeps, she's not too far behind. She's actually going to be catching up with Renekton just on the wave, just pushing back to neutrally to the river. So right now, in order to take advantage of the situation, Eclypsia needs to make a big, like 4 or 5 man push on some objective, possibly in more than likely in mid.
Yeah, it depends on what they're looking for, because as it gets to the later game, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes down. With tons of damage, doing okay, he's starting to build up his tanky items. Once he gets his Sunfire Cape, he's going to be a pretty crazy pushing ability. Oh, yeah. And like you're saying before, Aurelia's going to need to stay in the top lane for a little while to farm back up to the same point. As she does that, it's going to free up a little bit of aggression ability out of Eclypsia in these other lanes like we're seeing right now.
And also, if MYM can actually stall to just allow Aurelia to free farm for about like 5 minutes or so, and they have the abilities to do it. Sona ult, Orianna ult can just keep EC still and detracted and more frankly annoyed. It's like, why can't we take this tower? Sona, stop making us dance and everything.
Hey, it's a party. You gotta.
You
gotta participate in the party if it's happening.
It could give plenty of time for Aurelia to match and maybe even eventually surpass Renekton if he decides to stay with the team and make those 5-man pushes. But for now, though, he has returned back to top, recognizes that if he doesn't do something about that Aurelia, she will be pushing up the tower and possibly get some global goal for the rest of the team. So he does have to stay there, babysit the lane. But now he knows the wave's pushed back a little bit. He's going to return. He's going to be flip-flopping. He's going to be rubber banding between top and mid quite often, just to make sure that his top lane is still safe. And Aurelia, for the time being, though, actually backing Wood should buy for himself. Got the Phage. That's going to be working for the Sheen. So looking for that Trinity Force first. Not too uncommon on Aurelia. And going to be actually swooping on over to the mid. We may see some aggression coming from MYM here. Yeah,
now as MYM's grouping up as 5, they can put on a little bit of a push into this mid lane. Get some aggression going on. Like you're saying, Aurelia coming back with that Phage and that Sapphire Crystal, she'll be able to stay a little bit more sustainable with that extra mana that she has available to her. A little bit more ability to use her abilities. And that's just exactly what she's looking for to stay in lane. If we look at Orianna, she's almost got that Athene's Unholy Grail. Once she gets that, she'll have the mana regeneration as well to just keep this push going. Keep that ball poking or rolling. I don't know what balls don't really poke too much, but
this one does. I mean, you look at this thing. There's like pins and needles all over that thing.
True.
That's pretty painful. Right there on the tri-ramp, Heidel got caught. Just a little bit
beautiful damage there coming from Heidel.
Libic used the flash earlier because he got caught. You got the Orianna only keeping tabs in check. Tons of damage, a little bit too far away from his team. You got Sona ult going, getting 2 members of EC down. I'm So Fresh with the ult, keeping everyone split. Zyra ult only getting Kuban though, but so far it is a 1 for 2. Eclypsia not coming out ahead on that one. Libic still out in front, getting some poke here and there. Mackler on the side. Q from Jace, not through the gate though, not going to be doing too much damage because he needs to save it just so he can run away, get in position. There's a slam backwards down onto Sona, not going to be within turret range, but that's okay because you still got the kill on that.
Yeah, that initial engagement definitely went in MYM's favor. They could have backed out after that point when they realized they took so much damage, didn't have the utility to kind of follow it up with anything, but great job from Eclypsia to assassinate Magi's earlier on. Might have been a little bit better for them to choose a more high-profile target, but he had the Oracles at the time. So getting rid of that Oracles is going to be very instrumental to them starting to get vision control. And this Dragon's going to be back up in less than 30 seconds.
Right.
When that happens, it's anyone's game at that point. So once they get that, the gold lead is going to switch back into their favor, seeing as it's only a 700 gold lead in favor of MYM 15 minutes into the game.
Yep. And that was still a relatively early Oracles coming in from Magi's also. And the fact that he had it so long, though, was equally impressive. I don't think he got the full value out of it, but it wasn't a complete waste, but it's still a little bit of gold that they're now behind. And when you have a lead that is so minuscule, less than 1,000 gold, every quarter, every penny counts in these early minutes of the game. And as you mentioned before, Dragon is going to be coming up in just a little bit. We're just going to need to see what is up with this pause, and hopefully everyone will be coming back into this soon. But meanwhile, though, let's take a look at the items so far, actually.
Yeah, if we take a look at Jace, he's kind of come back compared to Ezreal. He has gotten 2 extra kills in there, so 2-1-2. Not a bad position for him. He's down by about 30 CS, but the gold is only down by 500, so he's essentially 1 Doran's Blade behind. He's got his Brutalizer. Once they start to move up as a team, he's going to be a little bit more effective in these team fights in the mid game, or the early mid game, compared to Ezreal. Once it gets to the super late game, Ezreal is going to be dishing out ridiculous amounts of damage, but that gives a window of opportunity for him to come back and kind of offset that initial deficit they had.
Yeah, and you look at Ezreal, though, he's got the Phage, he's got the Sheen. He is, let's see, how much gold is he rocking about now? 200, he's about...
not much in his pocket.
He's about 1,300 away from finishing off the entire Trinity Force just as a whole. But remember, too, that there's two different paths you can build Ezreal. You can rush that Trinity Force first, or you can rush either the Bloodthirst or the Infinity Edge first. Well, you know, you go for the BF Sword route, one of those items. It's a little bit more sustained damage, but if you go for a Trinity Force, it's a lot more burst, which, you know, it's you can go either way. So a lot of people have a certain play preference. Like, okay, I want to be able to get into the fight, do as much damage as I can, or get out. A lot of people sometimes build Ezreal to go accustomed with their team comp. It's like, well, we have a very burst-oriented team, I'm going to build a bursty, or we need some more damage later on in fights, well, I'm going to build more sustained. So in this kind of setup, though, there's a decent amount of poke coming from MYM, because you got Sony, you got Ezreal, you got Orianna. So at least with that, at least with the poke that they have already on the front line, he's going to be able to front load a lot more damage onto Eclypsia before these fights start.
That is very true if they get into that position, but Eclypsia's got the poke just as much with Jace there as well. Diana is able to initiate as soon as they see the opportunity. And the issue that MYM has when they're going for those really large items like the Trinity Forces is there's a window of opportunity for the enemy team, and that's what we're seeing Eclypsia kind of capitalize on. They took down 2 turrets in the top lane. Xin Zhao is kind of headed up there to continue that push. However, he is leaving the Dragon open for the MYM team. They're going to be able to take this down pretty quickly.
No vision. They have no idea. Nothing.
Yeah.
No wards whatsoever. But now they see Udyr coming up from the South River.
Where is Kuja going? He's going to try to help out tons of damage and tabs. They tried to take down Zaru, but not quite able to do it. The Ezreal ult comes in, but tabs just barely makes it out of the fight. A lot of ults coming from both sides, but pretty much everyone's getting out completely unscathed. Oh, I'm so fresh. He could have gone in there for the kill. Gonna pause because he didn't realize how much how much of an opportunity he had.
we have the God vision, so he's gonna be looking back on this. Let's actually rewind just for a second. We'll pause right before that pause comes on in. But you saw the Summoner Heal actually being used over there by Heidal, just to make sure that Diana doesn't go down immediately. But if only you knew. I'm so fresh.
Well, that's where the pause came from. He's like, well, I can't see on the other side of the bush. Let me pause for a few minutes, let the stream catch up to live, check it, and then see if I should go in or not.
It's like a romance novel almost. It's like, they're just, if they only knew. Everyone's freaking out for a second. Just calm down, everybody. Okay, got it here.
Too much dancing.
Too much. Whoa, I broke it.
Oh, no.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
All right, no one died. That's all that matters. Didn't miss a death.
Didn't miss a death. That's the important part. So, I'm so fresh, though. He's going to be going the far way around. Now they have the vision in front of the Dragon. Now they know where MYM's been this entire time. And now just a little bit more sad. But after that last exchange, though, MYM now up on 2 kills here. Up on 1 kill, up at 2K in gold. That's the right map.
Yeah, Heidal does not want to get into any engagement with Makler at this moment, or Makler. God, I gotta know how to pronounce that.
But it's you know, player pronunciation sometimes can be a bit. I remember, like, Baron and I, we were we were mispronouncing Malunu's name for I think like 2 months, and the tweets that came, some quite enraged, some otherwise.
Well, yeah, there's fanboys out there that will yell at anything, and they're perfectly justified in that. But make sure that you've done your homework before you start bitching, because I know one case was with XPeke. People kept saying that was XPK, but if you talk to the player himself, it is XPeke.
Yeah.
And that's where live events really come in. You can get a personal touch with the players. You can ask them the questions, get the true answer immediately, which is really awesome. But right now, we got a aggressive force coming in here from MYM. It might get pushed back here by Eclypsia, however.
I'm So Fresh gets the spear stab down onto Ezreal, but Mackler shifts right on out of the danger, and MYM will back off for the time being. Full 5-man push from both teams here in the middle. Might as well be an ARAM, but hopefully not with the same rule set. You got Sona over on the side, gets the free Q-Rest down, and Udyr doing what he does best. He's right out in front. How much? He's got 3 points in the turtle stance too, so that's a pretty decent shield to absorb up some of that damage. But this is kind of strange because he actually does have 1 point in the tire stance pretty early on, because sometimes when you play Udyr, you usually only go for just the 3 abilities, and you know, just one of them is unfortunately like left off to the side. You don't really level it too much, but he does have. He's got 1 point though, at least just for a little bit of extra damage and also for the passive attack speed. But it is a little odd considering, you know, most standard Udyr builds. But
yeah, we'll have to check back in on that later. But we got an engagement going on. A Crescendo and a nice ultimate from Orianna are going to come out there in conjunction to be able to pick off Jhin Zhao immediately. That allows them to be able to take down the turret, continue this aggression going on. The minion wave is going to melt pretty quickly, but as they see the giant alligator coming out from the bushes, it's almost like Florida. They want to back away from there. Make sure they stay away from the sewer drains.
Yeah, no sewer alligators, no flushing of the pets today, because he's right out here in the mid. Meanwhile, down in the bot river, you got Tabs getting some free damage, getting some free kills. Kuban almost going down. He's going to have to be forced to back. He needs to heal. How much money has he got? He's also got 1,300. He's going to buy himself something nice. That's going to be the Zeal at the very least for the Trinity. Does not have enough for the combine, but if he really wants to, could actually sell the Doran Shield and actually buy the whole thing. And that's exactly what he's going to do. There you go. There's the Trinity. Finished now for Kuban.
And as we approach the surrender mark in the game, we see that MYM is up by almost 4,000 gold. A good position for them to be in. We're able to get the first 2 dragons so far and get some pretty decent control of the area with their first turret destructions. But now tons of damage is going to counter this in the bottom turret, taking it down. Then the mid turret is extremely low as well. 1 push that's positive for Eclypsia is going to give them that middle turret. And once they take that down, the next dragon that comes up is going to be a lot more within their control if they keep vision of it, which they kind of failed to do last time.
Yeah, and there's limited warding right now here for Eclypsia. The only one I see offhand is just one over in the side river. Actually, both side entrances to the mid actually are warded, but that's all I see here from EC. And also, did Udyr end up reviving the Oracles? He does have a little bit of gold, but he's going to choose not to. Actually going for the Glacial Shroud. Going to be going into the Frozen Heart, which against this team, against Eclypsia, is actually going to do quite well, because these are all champs that benefit immensely from attack speed, especially Diana, especially Xin. To have that reduction in the middle of those fights is going to be massive.
That is very true, and he's going to start building up for that tankiness that we were looking for before. Just a little bit more flexibility from him. Those Merc Treads are going to help him out as well. Just make sure he can continue to move through the Zyra ultimate, be able to position and lock down whoever they're trying to be targeting at that particular moment. We see Libic, he was the one to pick up the Oracles. That's going to give him a little bit of a threat, or a threat indicator almost for Eclypsia, kind of spreading out who Eclypsia might be trying to go for. And that's always a good thing to have on a team, is that you want the other team to be split between who they want to go for. Yeah. Just naturally, if you're not communicating perfectly that given day, everyone's going to have their own opinion about who to jump on. And if you have 2 people jumping on different targets, that splits the amount of damage. It makes it a lot easier for one team to come out ahead. And
also, Libic's going to be beyond the back end anyway, so it's going to be this nice...
Well, maybe.
Maybe. He's
3-3 and 4. He's being pretty aggressive. He's got those boots of mobility to run in there and try to keep it going. But
he's doing all right. He's doing all right for himself. But the thing is that we saw Oracles on Udyr earlier, though, and you saw, you know, out in the front, he got caught out, and you see how quickly he went down. So
that is true, and this timing is perfect, because MYM knew that Eclypsia did not know the time of the dragon, did not have much vision of the area. They were able to move in, and as soon as that dragon spawned, they could take it out before Eclypsia even thought to check for it.
Yeah.
Great job by them. Great prediction for them, but now they're back into this mid turret. They got to defend this to keep it completely even so far for them.
Yeah, that was a very hairy situation, though, for Sona. Almost got caught out in the river returning to the lane. You saw that Vine grab. That could have translated into an ult in from Diana, but decided to play it safe. It's not worth it just quite yet. Libig actually backs on over to the mid-tier 1. We're back to practically ARAM mode here between both of these two teams. But that is the tier 1 down already for Eclypsia, though. So MYM does have a little bit of muscle on this, but their mid-tier 1 is under 300 health. Just 2-3 auto attacks will actually take that thing out easy, just making sure that the minions do not touch that thing. Do not touch the cookies contained within this tower, minions. They are not for you. They're for these guys. It
is a little bit of a pressure situation for them to be in because they still want to pressure these other lanes. They want to get the gold, and that means that they're going to need to divide their resources a little bit, making it a little bit vulnerable for them to go to a dive right now. That's going to be the first kill onto Orianna. A lot of the damage is going to be taken out, but Kuban is going to counter it, taking down Zyra. But now the turret is going to fall since there's no one or no carry there to defend from the MYM team. Magi's just barely got into the fight now to defend the second tier turret, but he's going to be pretty hard pressed to counteract the poke damage that's going to be able to come out from Heidel.
Yeah, you consider the gold coming from the tower. It's roughly about 2 kills. So it's in terms of gold for Eclypsia, that was about a 1 for 4 in their favor just on that exchange. So that was pretty huge, but they are still behind. They're still 2K behind, but they can easily transition now here into the bot. They could also catch Kuban off guard. Xin uses the ult a little prematurely, but that's okay because you have Kuban here on the run. Has to run away from his base, but there are the slows now coming in. Hammer swing backwards. Will Aurelia go down here? Sona doing the best she can, but no. Shutdown coming in from Tabs, and now bot lane will continue to push from here.
Yeah, that is what Eclypsia is looking for. They lost the Dragon for the 3rd time, but now they're going to start to get a hold of this game, starting to take down some turrets. Renekton's going to just eat through the jungle of the enemy team, giving a little bit more gold into their camp. So what was a pretty decent deficit before is now only about a 1.7k lead for MYM. A sizable lead, but not something that Eclypsia is even going to be worried about whatsoever. Not that they actually know the real number unless they're watching our stream.
Exactly.
But
which if you are, get off. Stop
3 minutes in the future.
Stop it. Just stop it.
That's why it's really nice for Riot Games to have this delay timer in there. It makes it so that we can run these tournaments without any worry whatsoever for unfair play coming out of these guys. Not that we would expect it to happen.
Unless we have a pause for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Minor details.
Lee Sin was totally not in that top lane. Udyr out in front, going to be catching Xin Zhao, sneaking up the tri-ramp, going to get 1 punch to the face, 1 Tiger stance, and that's about it. Turtle, he'll be walking on now, but free shots from Jace as he's coming up through. But the Oracle's still on to Sona, though. You will still have that ward clear available to you. You got the shield up on to Aurelia, though. There will be no ult to follow it up with yet, just quite now, because the positioning isn't quite right. But there you go. Orb right out in front. Kuja going to be melted immediately. Tons of damage. Now onto the backline. Wants to get that Oracles off of the Sona, but decides to change targets. Macklord's right out in front. But there's the Sona keeping him still. Will die in the face of the Sona, and still the purple eye ever so watching. Eclypsia falling back to their tier 2. And that is 3 for free for MYM. Udyr's low, Ezreal's low, but they got a pretty good position on him now.
Yeah, that was beautiful positioning by MYM, juggling the damage where they needed to, able to put that protecting ball onto Ezreal right when he needed it, keeping him alive away from tons of damage. That's going to allow them to kind of reverse it, go steal the enemy jungle, make up for before, and continue the lead that they had. Now it's about a 3,500 gold lead, so just ever so slightly, every single one of these battles going a little bit more in MYM's favor.
Yep.
What is Eclypsia really going to need to do to change up their playstyle to make it so that they're not continually losing these fights?
Well, we saw Eclypsia before. One of their strengths, and they have a lot of characters that are very easily set up for this, is that you saw the Aurelia gank, the Aurelia kill earlier down in bot, and if Eclypsia manages to poke someone down, manages to find someone stranded away from the team, the burst is too high, they can take them out easy. But you saw earlier, you saw Renekton actually zoom on straight to the backline to try and get Sona, but nobody was with him. So there's possibly a little bit of miscommunication there, but there are plenty of champs that can actually zoom into the backline with them. Xin can dash, and same thing with Diana. It's just a matter of the rest of the team keeping them a little bit too busy. So, however, we have seen earlier on in the game that Eclypsia is more than capable of taking out Udyr while he's dancing around in the front line. If Eclypsia can either, as a team, move to the back line and focus down an enemy champ, or if they can burst out Udyr before he's able to do anything all too significant in a fight, they should be able to take it.
We'll have to see how that positioning comes into effect in the next team fight. 28 minutes into this game, MYM 11-8, doing a pretty good job with that so far. Only 2 turrets have been destroyed, however, so they have a little bit of catching up to do on the structure department. However, they're in a perfect position to make that happen. They want to just keep taking down these global objectives, bring that lead a little further, using Sona almost as bait with her golden or with her
totally
pink eye above her head. The rest of the team senses what's up, though. They try to get some wards in there. It's not going to help. Not going to help.
What we should do is we should just get during one of the holiday like for April Fools, don't use the eye anymore for oracles. Just have a big target, a big picky sign on your back, because that's essentially what it is right now. Is Sona's out in the middle of the lane, she's dancing. It's like, hey, you want to get this oracles? You want to get this kill? Come on. The rest of my team is totally not waiting in the bush right next to me. But Eclypsia, they're a little bit too smart for it. They didn't quite fall for it. Yeah,
with this very tanky Udyr, we see MYM grabbing yet another dragon. They're just not even allowing Eclypsia to think about contesting it. Every single action they make is putting up enough aggression and then keeping the vision and the intelligence away from Eclypsia, so they don't know when to actually turn on them. But the dragons are also melting in seconds, so there's not really any sort of movement time. Because MYM was able to push Eclypsia into that mid lane, even if Eclypsia was like, all right, time to go, dragon's up, it would take them 10 seconds to get over to that dragon. In that time, dragon would have been dead, and then it would be a 5v5 anyway.
Right. And also, Aurelia can actually go back at any time. She has the components. Guardian Angel coming up next for Aurelia, which is going to be a huge pain in the ass for Eclypsia to deal with. They were already struggling a little bit with Udyr in the front line. Now they're going to have Aurelia with an extra life to deal with. And that's the great thing about Aurelia, is that she doesn't need a whole lot of items to do big damage. Training Force is really all you need, and there you go. That is the pickup.
That's something that we start to see from these European teams when they sense that, you know what, it's time for a big push.
Yes.
Maybe I could go for a bit more damage and push it into a later game, or I can grab a Guardian's Angel right now, be sure that nothing sort of unpredictable happens, and we can just kind of push down some crazy turrets right now, or even go for a Baron.
Yeah, and the greatest thing about Guardian Angel 2 is that it's one of those items. It's one of those items where if you have the lead, like MYM right now, they've got a very healthy 5K lead. Once you have the lead, it stays it. It's the old StarCraft mantra. What do you do when you get ahead?
Get more ahead.
There you do. That's it. That is it. That's all you need to do. And Guardian Angel is definitely the item to do that with. Pause once again. Just a few TeamSpeak issues, but it should be resolved in just a moment.
You know what team doesn't have TeamSpeak issues? Fnatic Raid Call.
It's true. It is true. You got the dash.
But now that they come back, it's coming right into the fight. They're going to start this off. A lot of damage going on Magi's, but he's to where they want the damage to go. That is the tank for the team. Going to use his turtle stance just to get away there, dropping into his shell. But here's the Zyrol. He's going to get knocked up a little bit. Not the target they're looking for. Extremely low. He cannot come back into this fight. Sona's going to have to flash away as well. But that's almost an issue because the Ezreal for MYM still very high. However, crazy burst damage coming out from Jace, dropping that acceleration gate down right at the last minute. They're going to be able to turn this around, try to jump on someone. Tons of damage going in. He does not have as much health as he would like, however. And there comes Jace for the final hits there. He's going to go in flashing, but the Zhonya's Hourglass is going to keep Zaro alive just a couple extra seconds, and that's what he needed to be able to bait in I'm So Fresh.
I'm tempted to say that's a top 5 play right there, because Zaro was dancing with death at that point. Quite literally, because it is a robot ballerina, but right there, that Zhonya's bait. It's like, hey, I'm still here. I'm gonna die, by the way, as soon as I come back up. Oh wait, no, I still have my flash. By the way, I left my orb behind. Would you mind picking that up?
Ooh,
done. Very quick deal. Wonderfully played.
And he's going to go back and finish off his Rabadon's death caps. Not only is he staying alive with that Hourglass, but he's going to be able to dish out even more damage. That's when we start to see the Orianna just throw out that ball, able to have a hit confirmable combo, so that if the enemy drops into the right position, boom, half their life is gone. Once that happens, they move in. If they miss, they just back off for a couple seconds and try it again. That's it.
That's it. That's all I need to do. And still, even now, even 32 minutes into the game, Udyr still getting some decent invades. Wants to keep control of that red. Heidel going to be here just a tad too late. One hammer swing away in frustration. Damn, I can't believe you got me. But at the very least, Kuja now with the Oracles going to start clearing out some of the coverage in their own jungle because, frankly, MYM has a lot of it.
Yeah, this is the first time we're seeing Eclypsia, at least today, be so far behind in gold. They up until this point stayed relatively even with the enemy team, but now they're starting to move in. These team fights that they're getting into, they're not going to be as close to being able to win them. Tons of burst damage coming out on tons of damage. Kuja just instantly melts. There's no ultimate going to be coming out from Zyra this time. The dead fairy is not going to be able to, or dead vine, I don't know.
Dead flower.
Flora, there we go.
The flower is wilted.
Not going to be able to help Diana. She falls as well. That's 2 free kills. Everyone over half health. They're going to move straight on to Baron. They still have the Oracles on Libic, so he's going to be able to clear up the vision coming from Eclypsia, and that's going to be a very good situation for them. Jace is in the vicinity, but he's only going to be able to hope for that Hail Mary play. Not actually able to do anything that's too aggressive here.
Yeah. You look at that last fight too, just is the position of the ults from the supports. Zyra threw down the ult to try and block off the ramp area, and everyone from MYM just completely scatters. Nobody gets hit. Meanwhile, while they're trying to engage the fight they want, Eclypsia's all on the line. Anyone works great against that, the Sona ult, which gets nearly everybody. Now that they have the Baron buff, they can just push Eclypsia around wherever they like. Xin can't even leave, and that is going to be a tier 2 tower for the very least for MYM. They have the minion support too in every single lane. They continue their push from here, and I'm so fresh. Without that Xin support, he's going to be down for the next 30 seconds. That's going to be huge. Orianna ult right underneath the tower. Kuja getting bursted down damn near immediately. Going to have the flower up for a little bit extra troops. Here comes Diana. Now mere desperation coming in from Tabs. Tons of damage now cycling through. He's got the ult up but cannot close the gap. You got a few members of MYM very low. One Hail Mary J shot, if he had the mana only, could have done something, but alas, he does not.
A little unfortunate for Eclypsia. That was their chance to come back into this game, remove the Baron buff from a number of the players. Tabs is going to get chased away, throwing a few Qs there to try to say something about it, but Heidel, he gets jumped on. He's not going to be able to push away everyone. That hammer only works once at a time. Sona is going to be able to get the shutdown. Nice little flash in there for that. Now the turret in the bottom lane has gone down as well. Tabs so far away, he cannot even participate in this fight. He's going to have to recall to get on the other side of the enemy. Or maybe he's going to... Yeah, there we go. The recall's happening. And the MYM, very intelligently, they got a pretty big lead. Only Jace is down. Head back, spend that gold that they have in their pocket.
Which is very plentiful. Ooh. Even like Ezreal, it's got like 2K on him just himself. And now he's really beefing up Last Whisper, Infinity Edge, and all to go with the Trinity Force. They already had Orianna, huge damage. Hasn't even finished the Athenes yet. It's like, you know what? I'm doing too well. I really need to buy myself a new hat in Hourglass. That works too. And it looks like Orianna's also just for the time being going to solo the dragons. Like, don't worry, guys. I got this.
Yeah, now the Zeeks and the Aegis is going to help with the auras for the overall team. A lot of team fighting potential coming out of MYM. And so much aggression they can put on when they come together. It doesn't give the flexibility for Eclypsia to try any sort of split pushing, even though their team composition is not really built around it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. It's not even on the table for them at the moment. So MYM getting an advantage early and just keeping the pressure that on. 35 minutes in, they're up by over 10,000 gold. They still have a couple extra seconds of Baron buff. They're going to be able to regroup for one last push with it. Yep.
Yeah, they got about like a minute and a half.
That's a couple seconds.
Yeah. That's a good
90 seconds.
It's 90 seconds. It's about like 2-3 waves. They can definitely edge out a tower if they really want to. They could possibly get an inhibitor if the timing's right, if they manage to catch a member of Eclypsia off guard. There's still plenty they can do. And also with all that time, they can push wherever they want and just get ready for when the next one eventually happens. And here we go. Sona brazenly leading the charge with the rest of the team not too far behind. Tabs throwing down Qs just to try and clear the wave. And also nice body block from Sona to keep that J-Shot from hitting the rest of the minions. There's the Orianna Orb right out and back, keeping Xin and Renekton busy. Udyr out front, being the tank that he is. Sona ult going on down, not getting a whole lot on this one, but it's okay. You still get Diana kill. Xin a little bit too far away from the rest of his team, going to be falling there. And Aurelia does not care, dashing straight on into the back, forcing 1, 2 flashes. Kuja trying to get away, but will he be able to? No, double kill for the Ezreal. Jace going down 2. Fantastic work from MYM. That's 4 members of Eclypsia down. Tons of damage. Is twiddling his thumbs in the base, and that is a surrender vote coming on in game 1. going to meet your makers.
Yeah, no surprise there. MYM coming through extremely strong in the end. Able to take the tank, tons of damage, down half health from one ultimate from Orianna. That's when you realize, all right, time to move on to game number 2. Save our energy. This is a best-of-3 series in the the winners bracket final for our IPL EU. Oh, I gotta get in the frame. IPL EU Royale. This is just a 4-team, $500 winner-take-all mini tournament where we're just trying to get a little bit more exposure for these European teams that will unfortunately not be coming to IPL 5.
Right.
But we still love you guys. We want to be as involved in all the community as we can be. And that's where you guys come in as well, because if you see anything that you like or don't like, let us know. We're here to just constantly evolve with the scene. We're trying to always build better and better products for you guys. And the best way for us to do that is getting feedback from you guys.
And also one of the best ways to give back to you guys for watching us is to give away free stuff.
Ooh,
IGN.com.
I like free stuff.
IGN.com/IPL giveaways. We're currently giving away 5 pairs of VIP ticket passes to IPL 5. 2 VIP tickets, which is, again, the only way you can actually come in on Thursday to see the group stage.
Yep.
And also, we got a whole bunch of swag bags in pairs. Once again, T-shirts, dog tags, shot glasses, all that kind of good stuff. Again, IGN.com/IPL giveaways if you want to get in for that. And also, we are doing a nice little promotion with Instagram. If you are a smartphone user, you like to take pretty pictures. Well, you know, we want to see your gaming-related pictures. We want to see your esports-related pictures. Be sure to take a few. Put them up on Instagram. Hashtag IPL5. We're going to look at a few of those, pick our favorites. We got some T-shirts, stickers, speakers, a whole bunch of good stuff to give away for that. So be sure to enter yourself in that also. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Eclypsia and MYM game number 2 in the winners finals for the IPL Royale. Coming back in just a little bit.